Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself and thought, damn, I was dying and nobody knew it? You looked happy, you looked healthy, but behind your eyes was pure survival mode. Your smile was a performance, your body was tense, your energy was leaking, and nobody had a clue. That is what trauma does. It doesn't just live in your memories. It lives in your body. And this episode is going to show you exactly what that means, because trauma isn't some vague emotional buzzword. It's not something that you just journal through or sage away. Trauma is a body response. And when you start to understand how it shows up, you can finally stop blaming yourself and start setting yourself free. I am Meaghan Webster. I'm an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and a woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. This is the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast, and today we are talking about how trauma gets stored in the body, how to recognize the physical symptoms of emotional abuse, and how to begin releasing it so you finally feel safe again. Now, if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you're going to want to head over to YouTube. What I am about to show you are photos of before, during, and after my physical state, what it looked like, and what changed through each of my narcissistic abusive relationships. How did I come to awareness on this? I'm going to show you guys the videos, but last week on my business coaching account, I shared a past reel, a video from a month ago, onto my stories, and then I shared a video that I did that day. And the next day when I was looking at analytics, the two videos side by side, I was like, holy shit. I don't even look like myself, and that was only 30 days prior. So I got curious, and I went looking for other photos, for other timelines, and wait until you see this. Now, I have always known that trauma was stored in the body, but it was such a awakening for me to see it in black and white. And if you've ever experienced abuse or toxicity, or living with a narcissist, or have a narcissist in your life, I bet my bank account right now that if you go and look for photos or videos on that timeline, if you have them, while you were together, you will see when the abuse started, and you will see when the trauma physically manifested in your body. It changes how you physically exist in this world. This feels like a very vulnerable share, you guys. You are going to learn a lot more about my story as a whole, including, of course, my narcissistic relationships that I was in. And I want you to pay attention to things like my eyes, my skin, my face, my posture, because when I say trauma lives in your body, it does mean how it changes you physically. So I was trying to figure out the best way to show you guys, so I chose Canva as a platform. This timeline, this was before my first narcissistic abusive relationship. I was living in Toronto. I was on my own at the time. I was working through some struggles with an eating disorder. I'd finished an inpatient stay earlier that year. Obviously, I love that mirror for selfies. So that's my doggo. I was trying to figure out the best way to show you guys. So I chose Canva as a platform. I was working as a bartender. Timeline. This was from what I remember, anyways. Like my life was pretty good. I loved my roommates in the area of Toronto that I lived in. I was working through some struggles with an eating disorder. I'd finished an inpatient stay earlier that year. Obviously, I love that mirror for selfies. That's my doggo. But I was single. I was dating. I have struggled with alcohol as a bartender. I've been sober almost 5 years. I remember anyways, like my life was pretty good. To share a little bit of the background, my roommates in the area of tiny sailboat with this person, and then I met someone. It was a 26-foot sailboat. I don't have a lot of photos from the time that I was in Toronto, the amount of conflict and issues that we had, like very early on. These are this relationship and my marriage. I have struggled with alcohol in the past. I've been sober almost 30 days, and alcohol was also incredible person that to share a little bit of the background. I lived on a tiny sailboat, like anything you could have ever asked for. It was a 26-foot sailboat. I had moved credit, I was in their space. The amount of conflict somebody I didn't know. Issues that we had, like very early on. Unwell at the time. This relationship and I was struggling marriage with my mental very much the same. And I'm sure you can 30 days too, where this I was in a place in my life that was loving, kind, giving, supportive, like anything you could have ever asked for. They were having a hard time. And once they were going through some stuff with their work, I was so in their space. It wasn't them. Somebody I justified and I rationalized a lot of the behavior. I was very at the beginning of this relationship with my drinking, and I was struggling a lot with my mental health. Over the 4 years, and there was, I'm sure you can relate to this too, I was in a place in my life that I was standing on the other side of a door that was a clear glass door, and they would just like shove it open, and it would they were going through some stuff with their workplace. I'm sorry, it wasn't. I didn't see. It wasn't paying attention. So I justified things like leaving me in the shower room in the beginning of this relationship. It was yacht club, like a public place. Over the 4 years, and then the financial abuse started. Instances they had struggled with their work. I have no issue as a partner that I was staying standing on the other side of a door, but a clear glass door, and they would just like shove it open. Bartending, like I had to show them how much money I made. I'm sorry, and that was kept on the boat. I didn't see you. I wasn't paying attention. My bank account was checked. Leaving me in the shower room with the door and then the physical abuse really started like a public place. And it was someone that when I first shared this with people, so they had struggled a lot of people work about this area of my life. I kept it pretty filling some gaps there, but it's that I was in every night the situation. This was a relationship that I tried to leave 11 was kept on the boat before I actually fully left. My bank account was checked. You know, they things like that, and then the physical abuse or that really started. They're like, you need to worry someone that when I first shared this with this person is not a lot of people. You don't know what their temper is going to get like. I kept it, and I kept saying things like they would never hit me, and I know that situation. Like, that's just not who they are. This was a relationship that I tried to leave 11 There were a lot of instances where physical harm was done, and when I shared, you know, they get me. You guys just look at the two differences between like those photos. You need to worry. What I've noticed the most is my eyes. This person is this one I feel like is a bit of an unfair share because I know, and I kept saying things like they would never hit me. After I left that relationship, I went on a really big healing journey. They did. Obviously, there were a lot of instances like a couple months out of that relationship. But this is what my state looked like. If you guys just look at the two differences between like those photos. What I've noticed the most is my eyes, and this one I feel like is a bit of an unfair share because I know that I was drinking heavily in these photos. There was no more contact after I left that relationship. I finally felt like a really human being existing in this world. And like a couple months out of that relationship, I also met somebody online dating at a distance. So there was minimal. I was around 6 months sober in these photos, and I was finally living life. I got deeper into my sobriety journey. I figured out things that I wanted out of a relationship, and like there was no more contact. My standards of like what I finally felt like tolerate given the relationship existing in this world. And during that time, this is at the beginning of that relationship. Somebody we were online dating at a distance, so there was minimal right when I moved to New Brunswick. You can see like my eyes are the more that I smile is big. Got deeper into my sobriety journey. I figured out things that I wanted out of a relationship. I remember being really kind of started my standards of like what I wouldn't tolerate given the relationship. They had changed into a completely different human. This is at the beginning of that relationship. Got off the plane. And all of a sudden, like all of my suitcases. This is like right when I moved to New Brunswick. That I moved for. You can see like my eyes are clear and my smile is big. It was like not appropriate to wear like in a relationship. I'm talking like stuff like this. I remember being really happy. It wasn't like and this relationship was also club clothing. I don't even know like what's bad clothing, right? Like in my head today, I'm like, what do you mean? But literally like got off the plane and I was now in a problem where I knew nobody. Everyone in my life told me not to make this move, and I did it anyways. Clothing was taken out because it was like not appropriate kind of mentality like in a relationship. And I'm talking like stuff like this, you guys, like tank tops. It wasn't consideration. Like if you want this to be long club clothing, I don't even know like what's bad clothing, right? Like in my head today, I'm like, what do you mean? I just haven't been in a healthy relationship yet. Like maybe this is now in a province like where I knew nobody. Everyone in my life told me not to make this move, and I did it anyways. And I had this like a year to 2 years this work kind of mentality. And I just want to hug this woman from a place of like caring and consideration. Like if you want this to be long term, if you want us to be what this is how it has to be. I was like, okay, well maybe a lot of changes I just haven't been in a healthy relationship yet. Like maybe got married. Supposed to be like pregnancy hormones. It's not. No one should be allowed to get married when you are pregnant. By the way, here are some photos that are. You can just see my face, right? Like I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Like I look, my eyes look dead. I just want to hug this woman so bad. My posture, you know, I'm hunched over. I have goosebumps. Not like myself. I am smiling. Which is the went through a lot of changes that year. You know, I found out I was pregnant. I got married. Exhausted. Pregnancy hormones. No one should be allowed to get married when you're pregnant. By the way, it should not be a thing. Acting. But you can just see my face, right? Like I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Like I look, my eyes look dead. Quiet. If I was emotional, if I was anything other than I look perfect. Not like myself. It was a problem. I am smiling. Which is the mask, right? Those fights would last for a really long time, and it would leave me walking on eggshells. And now not a lot of color in my face there. So to protect my son, I did the best of my ability to be this woman, and it was painful. If I was quiet, if I part of my emotional, part of my story is anything other than marriage ended up looking a lot like my parents. I was heavily involved in my parents' separation and divorce. I shouldn't have been. I was like 14 years old. But when I look at these photos, I now think to myself, like, what was I thinking and what was I going through? Aside from the physical state, I remember crying this woman in the bathroom, and it was painful. This photo here was taken, part of my history, part of my story. stories.
One day it's just going to be me and my marriage. One day this is going to be the way that it is. I was on maternity leave. It was $1,600 a month. I was like 14 years old. But when I look at these photos, I think to myself, like, what was I thinking? What was I going through? Aside from the physical state, I felt so trapped. I remember crying. There was a tiny human that was caught in the middle of this photo here was taken. Awful. And I remember thinking to myself, and one day it's just going to be me and my son. One day this is going to be the way that it is. I was on maternity leave. It was $1,600 a month. I was going to get gone through all of my savings. This marriage, this relationship, living there because it was COVID and a million other things. But I was in this spot that when I felt so trapped to leave. I felt so trapped. Now there was a tiny human that was caught in the middle of this rooms and separate lives and separate things. And I didn't really start my healing journey until about it just became almost a year out. A protective barrier and in January of this year, I had gone to Mexico. This marriage, this relationship, you guys some photos from that ish, almost 3 years. Because this was the first time that I felt like me again. It decided was the longest trip. There was a lot of like separation away from my son, which was super hard emotionally, but I needed it. I needed to come back home and reconnect with myself. I didn't really start my healing journey. My dad is a spot in Mexico, and it was just a really interesting experience. In January of this year, feeling like I had gone to Mexico, and again, it's the eye contact. Obviously, this is a branded photo for my business. This was the first time that I felt like me again. It's confidence. The longest trip that I ever taken away from my son, which was super hard emotionally, but I needed it. I needed to come back home and reconnect with myself. Just my dad is a spot in Mexico, and it was just a really interesting experience to just be like more feeling like spiritual again. And just again, it's the eye contact. Like obviously, what a different photo for my business, but. It's confidence. I felt secure in my human. It's insane. I was excited to be in a bathing suit on the beach. So this was one of the ones that enjoying really just kind of day-to-day life that for all this. I'll also show you guys the Instagram videos that I mentioned earlier. So like more of a spiritual video on the left here. This is for my business TikTok. But what a difference, video, right? Like I was in the marriage, I don't really struggling. I look exhausted. It's insane. My eye contact is horrible. I look this was uncomfortable. One of the ones that like really the video on the right here the trigger was for all this. I'll also show you guys the Instagram videos that I mentioned earlier. Weeks ago. So I don't look like this video on the left here. This is for my business TikTok. But that biggest manifestation of physical trauma in my own body is really struggling. I would get very exhausted. My eye contact is horrible. I look uncomfortable. I'm going to call it puffy for lack of a better word. I'm sure there's a better scientific term. From a month ago. My eyes, they either go super small or you can just see the dark circles and the hollowness. They look empty. Like I look like I'm terrified in that physical trauma in my own body is I would get very inflamed. And this is now like my stomach. This was in the last couple of weeks. Kind of like I'm going to call it puffy for lack of a better word. I'm sure there's a better scientific term for me to look. My eyes, they either go super small or you can just see. If I ever get ugly again in a relationship. Like you've got to tell me because obviously it's not like I look like I'm terrified in that left video and I'm videos or photos a multi-six-figure business. I said and this is now, but like this was in the last couple of weeks, and I feel like I look like myself again. But you're struggling. It's hard. It's not just me to look at this, and it is the physical manifestation of trauma in your body. If I ever get ugly again in a relationship, like you've got to tell me because obviously it's not healthy. She's like, Meaghan, I don't look at any of these videos or photos and think that you're ugly. I said, I know that. But like, are you seeing what I'm saying? And she's like, yeah, you're still beautiful, but you were struggling. I said, it's not just struggling. It is the physical manifestation of trauma in your body, which is why I wanted to share this with you guys. In the beginning of those photos and videos, I look alive. Same with the healing journey. So now that I'm finally back to life, I'm out here helping women just like you heal from narcissistic abuse. And this episode is going to be your permission to fully understand why your body has felt off, why your energy is low, why you don't recognize yourself in the mirror anymore, why you feel physically ill, why you feel disconnected from you, your purpose, your feelings. And I want to break that all down. So trauma does not just affect your brain. It hijacks your whole damn body. It quite literally becomes a crime scene. Every cell carries a clue. Every ache, every tired muscle, every symptom that cannot be explained. It's your body saying there is something we have not dealt with yet. But here's what most people don't realize. Trauma doesn't need to be a new wound to stay alive. It feeds on the echoes, the patterns, the environments, the triggers that feel like home, even if that home is hell. When you live in emotional war zones, your body adapts, it rewires, and it builds a fortress. Hypervigilance becomes your new normal. You can hear a shift in tone before it becomes a scream. You read micro expressions and energy like survival cues.
Your intuition gets super sharp, and it's not because you're gifted, it's because your life depended on it. Even when things are good, your body is scanning the room for danger. Your heart races when you're sitting still. Your gut turns when your phone dings or you get a text. You tense up when somebody says your name because you don't know if it's love or a landmine. Your body is so brilliant. It is not failing you, it's protecting you. But now you're safe, and it doesn't know how to stop protecting you. Trauma isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It just numbs you out. It disconnects. And you become a ghost in your own life. Present but not here. Alive but not living. You've been scanning, searching, bracing, anticipating for a hit that doesn't come. And when it doesn't come, you almost feel worse because your body is stuck in a loop. Your sleep is shallow. Your jaw is steel. Your shoulders are armor. You can barely breathe. Your breath barely moves past your chest. You've forgotten what it feels like to be soft, to be safe, to belong in your body without flinching. That is trauma. So you want to know if trauma is still living in your body. I want you to look at how you move. Do you flinch when someone enters a room too fast? Do you apologize when you ask for what you need? Do you freeze when someone says we need to talk? Do you shrink to fit in spaces that you should be expanding? Are you estimating what's to come in a conversation? Do you feel guilty when things are calm while you're waiting for the other shoe to drop? And you cannot relax unless you're busy, achieving, fixing, hiding. Because stillness never meant safety to you. It meant the tension before the explosion. You are exhausted all the time, but wired at night. You eat to soothe or you starve to punish. You scroll through old texts or videos or photos or music like it's scripture. And it's not because they were loving. It's because they were familiar. And you'll say things out loud like, I miss him. But what you actually miss is the predictability of the chaos. The rhythm that your body learned to dance to, even if it shredded you apart. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You are trauma trained, and your rituals are red flags in disguise. You're replaying things that have happened to see where you went wrong. You're obsessively checking their social media. You're practicing what to say to them when they come home, when they show up, just to keep the peace. Feeling off when things are good and just calling it your intuition, when it's really unprocessed chaos trying to find somewhere to land. Your body is trying to protect you, but what protected you is now keeping you stuck. So this is where we're going to break the myth, okay? This is where we're going to break the myth. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were biologically bonded. And a trauma bond is not just emotional attachment. It is a psychological loop between pain and relief, chaos and calm. You're addicted to a pattern, not because you wanted it, but because it was the only thing that made your nervous system feel alive. Let me say that again. You were addicted to them. You were addicted to relief. And every time they love bombed you, the dopamine surged. Every apology, an oxytocin hit. Every punishment or withdrawal was a cortisol spike. Every breadcrumb of affection, another hit of hope, and your system was begging for more. So when you tried to leave, you shook, you spiraled, you panicked because your body was going into withdrawal from that cycle because that's your baseline, which is why we block, unblock, walk away, come back. Why you knew it was wrong, but you still couldn't stop. Because trauma is not about love, it's about survival. Your body wasn't sabotaging you, it was trying to keep you alive. So when someone says things to you, why didn't you just leave? You can say, because my body thought he was oxygen. I had to teach myself to breathe without him. Healing is not sexy. It is sacred warfare. You are peeling back layers and layers of programming that told you pain was love, chaos was passion, and control was safety. It's not linear. It's not cute. It's not a TikTok trend. You're breaking generational chains with your hands while you are still shaking. It's sitting in your car screaming instead of texting this person. It's breathing through a trigger without needing to collapse. It's saying no, and that's the full statement and not apologizing for it. It is resting. It is sitting in silence and not having to earn it first. It's letting yourself eat, even if you don't feel worthy. It's not stalking his pages at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's staying present in your own body, even if it does feel like a battlefield. Healing is confronting that you were never crazy. You were dysregulated. You were trained to perform for love. You were surviving a war that nobody could see. And when the war ends, you don't just heal, you rise. I showed you those photos. Your skin glows differently. Your eyes stop darting. Your shoulders drop. Your body whispers, maybe we're safe now. It's beautiful and it's powerful. If you want to release the trauma in your body, you have to physically move it out. It's the only way that we get to release it. Your nervous system isn't a mindset problem. It's a physiological system that needs retraining. That means that safety has to become a felt experience, not just a nice idea. So I want to talk to you about how you can start doing this today. Awareness is number one that goes beyond thoughts. Notice when your chest gets tight, when your stomach drops, when your throat closes up, or your legs or fingers go numb. That is not anxiety out of nowhere. That's your body reliving something that it doesn't even consciously remember. When that happens, do not fix it, feel it. Place your hands on your chest, on your belly, on your thighs. Touch is regulation. You're anchoring into your body and say things out loud like, we are safe. I do not live in my past. I am not with them anymore. This is not a threat. I am healing. Grounding through your feet. Walking on soil, put your heels into the ground. This is such a natural experience that people miss out on. You can say things out loud. I belong right here, right now, and I am safe. The physical connection, the actual touching will let your body know that it's okay. Movement is another one. It's my favorite. I talk about this a lot in the RR membership. I love having naked dance parties to myself. Sometimes I don't even have music on, you guys. This is something that I think people feel awkward about, and you shouldn't. This is not about exercise or weight loss. This is about literally discharging your trauma. When animals experience a threat, they shake to release the freeze response. Humans don't. We internalize it. We think about it. We use logic. So start shaking. Let your body tremble. Let it finish what it never got to complete. Breathing. From your pelvis, not from your chest. We want to go deep. Chest breathing keeps you in survival. Deep pelvic breathing sends you a signal that you're safe and you can rest and you are home. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 8. And keep repeating this until your jaw unclenches, until your shoulders drop, until your body gives you a sigh without permission. Track your rituals and then reroute them. If you want to go to his page when you feel lonely, pause. Put your hand on your heart. Go for a walk. Drink some cold water. Call a girlfriend. When you interrupt that spiral by not suppressing it, you're offering your body something real, a chance to heal. The thing about healing is that isolation is not a part of it. It's a part of abuse. Healing alone is still survival. Regulation happens in relationships. So start talking with your body. She's been begging you to listen. The panic, the fatigue, the numbness, all the signs. Move through it with shaking, breathing, crying. Feel it. Let your body process what your mind has been trying to fix with logic. And most of all, don't do it alone. Togetherness is going to be the piece that gives you community, support, love, respect in your process of learning to love yourself again. It's the reason why Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem isn't just another program. The structure for you is to really understand a trauma-bond path and how it hits your soul, how we walk out of hell together with nervous system resets and deep regulation prompts. We have 2 live coaching calls every month and a private Telegram so we can catch your spirals in real time. This is soul, this is fire, and this is safety. You are not here just to cope. You're here to transform. And this is a space where that version of you that had to survive dies. And a new version, a new woman that you probably never met gets to be born. If this episode hit something in you good, it means that you're waking up. Share this with another woman who needs it. Subscribe, leave us a comment, send me a DM on Instagram to let me know it landed for you. This is the Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast, and your comeback today is going to start with healing your body.